Going to go over the structure and function of your study guides. The function of the study guide is for you to do well on your tests, or what I call CKs, celebrations of knowledge. Your daily homework is to review this study guide. Reviewing means to reread and or rewrite for understanding. Now, the rewrite doesn't mean you have to rewrite something you did in class and turn it in the next day for a homework check. The rewrite is sometimes the writing that we do in class maybe is not as legible, and so you decipher it at home and you want to rewrite it so that you're not having to spend each night trying to recall what your writing was intending to say. And sometimes just rewriting something that is clear, that is an important concept, several times over and over. That repetition can help lock in some of that understanding. Again, the rewrite, there's no official written assignment you need to turn in where you copy anything from the study guide. This is just making sure that the notes that you take are legible to you and that you can understand what you've written and what you meant by what you have written. When concepts may be unclear, reach out to your teacher. The study guide must be completed before the unit assessment, CK test, in order to qualify for reassessment. Before, we've had to, over the years, include a definition of what before is for extra clarity. Before is defined by the Cambridge Dictionary as at or during a time earlier than the thing mentioned. The thing mentioned here is the unit assessment, and this study guide must be completed before the CK, your test. Now, the focus here is not so much on you wanting to do a reassessment. The focus really should be, the primary function of your study guide is for you to do well on that first time that you sit and take your celebration of knowledge. You want to focus on your efforts for doing well in the first go-around. Students who have adapted to this idea, this concept, this mindset of I'm going to do all that I can in my study guide for understanding and completeness, do much, much better on your celebration of knowledge. And in fact, the biggest reason I encourage you to complete your study guide before the CK is because you get to use your notes. This study guide you get to use on your celebration of knowledge. So it is in your absolute best interest to get as much of this completed before the celebration of knowledge. Again, not really putting the focus on, I want to complete it so I can recess, but really I want to complete the study guide to the best of my efforts so that I can do the best I possibly can on your celebrations of knowledge. Now, we all know sometimes we have little hiccups, moments on our CKs, our tests, where we don't do as well on a certain portion than we maybe had hoped for. And so if you have completed your study guide before the day the exam is offered in class, or the day of the test, then you qualify to follow the reassessment protocol that is outlined in your course disclosure. So when you get a study guide, you always want to put your name on the front cover, and the daily homework is to review that study guide. Review the things you've done in class, and then even look ahead at upcoming pages. You can kind of get a sense of the full scope of what the study guide entails. The structure of the study guides are all very, very similar. You'll get your study guide and you'll have your name put on there. You will put that there. And the page zeros will look like this. The grade sections are what symbols, mathematical models, SI units, the quantities that we'll be studying. So in this first study guide, quick review of what your time, distance, mass, and volume symbols, mathematical models, and units will be. And as we get new study guides that follow this one, you'll have more things that are grayed in, and you will copy over from each study guide your running list of your quantities with their respective symbols, mathematical models, and units. As we go through this first study guide in Physics A with you, we will have these things make more sense. And in fact, these two rectangles actually we cover more in the second study guide of Physics A. So right now in Physics A, your first unit of physics metrics, you'll worry about this area and this area. Other things on this page, especially these, will come throughout your Physics A and Physics B experiences. Page 1 of your study guides are always the rubrics. These will be the items that are listed in PowerSchool for your assessment on your celebration day. And so these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories will all be listed under Unit 1, CK, Celebration Knowledge, the physics metrics units, and shortened versions of these statements will be listed in PowerSchool. So your first celebration of knowledge in Physics A, you're going to be assessed on these 6 items. How will you be rated is over here in this rubric section. So the highly proficient, A, proficient B, approaching proficient, C, below proficient, D, not proficient, F. The proficiency checkpoints, you'll be given scores, or you'll be given quizzes, I will call them mini CKs, that don't go against your grade unless you don't learn from the mini CK or quiz experience. You'll write down how many you answered correctly on that particular topic. And then the all-important check mark is, okay, maybe you answered only 2 out of the 5. That's class session. But after we went over that mini CK or quiz, you now understand the concept. And so you would just check that your understanding is where it needs to be. Page 2 will always look like this in every single study guide, and these are your 3 dimensions of science that you are very familiar with through all of your science classes here in the state of Utah. We have our cross-cutting concepts. These are the how scientists and engineers think. We have our science and engineering practices, and that is what scientists and engineers do. And then the disciplinary core ideas, the DCIs, these are the concepts scientists and engineers explore, and these are what are unique to each study guide. So your cross-cutting concepts, science and engineering practices are the same throughout your science classes. The DCIs are what will be different from your science classes and in physics from each unit to the next. Page 3 is where the specific ones for each study guide will be listed. So we put these in alphabetical order according to the title of the pages in the study guide, and then what the page number is to find that particular page that we're working on in class. Now in this study guide only, I have put down some suggestions of what would be listed as cross-cutting concepts, science and engineering practice, or the DCI. I should say, and the DCI. This first study guide is just to help you see where some of these from the previous page might apply. Now, it's important for you to know that these are not one correct answer only. When it comes to the ability to determine which tool that you use, this could fall into the category of the science and engineering practice of analyzing and interpreting data. You want to measure something, what tool will you need? How will you record that data to be able to analyze and interpret those measurements? This doesn't mean that analyzing and interpreting data is the only thing that would apply in tools of the trade. This is just one that I selected that thought made sense. Likewise with your cross-cutting concepts. The DCIs are basically, what's the main idea? What's your learning objective from that particular page? What did your teacher repeat over and over and over as the important thing to take away from that day's lesson? In all future study guides, the middle portion here will be blank. You'll have the 3-letter here listed in the blanks, but the rest will be blank. We are not looking for you to pick the right answer. There isn't a right answer. We just want to make sure that before the celebration of knowledge, that you have thought about these 3 dimensions of science in a bit more detail in your reviewing your study guide for homework. And so in future study guides, you will select the one here. There's not a correct answer. You just need to be able to prepare to defend why you chose the one you did. Let's say on a celebration of knowledge, we ask the question, what cross-cutting concept did you think best fits to tools of the trade? You will not have enough test time on the day of your celebration of knowledge to hurry and skim and read through all of these and think about which one applies to the particular one referenced. And so you want to start getting into the habit of, at the end of completing each of these pages in the study guide, is to go to the page 3 and think about the 3 dimensions of science in each of those specific lessons or topics or pages. The rest of the study guides are then specific to that particular unit. And you may not always do the study guide in numerical order. You may even skip a portion or 2 upon your teacher's instructions. Most of your study guides will have these that are called versatiles. We'll show you how those work in class. And every study guide has a section of Think and Solves, where you're going to apply the concepts that you've been working with on the study guide to some practice items that could represent fairly close to what some possible celebration of knowledge questions are. You are not always given time in class to complete all the Think and Solves. We generally do about at least 50% of them with you in class, but we also want to leave some for homework for you to practice, to check on your own understanding and reach out to your instructor if you're not understanding how to apply the concepts you've learned in the class to questions that fall under the Think and Solves. Every single study guide has the same structure. You have your Think and Solves at the end of the study guide, and you will always start the study guide the same with the cover, the reminder to keep your focus on completing the study guide to do as well as you can. You will always have the page 0, which will get more and more information added throughout your study guides in A and B. You will always have the rubric on page 1. This is your study guide for the study guide. So this is telling you exactly what you need to do to demonstrate these higher proficiency levels. These are the categories that will show up in PowerSchool to let you know what your proficiency is in physics. And pages 2 and 3 are always the same. We have your 3 dimensions of science. Cross-cutting concepts, science and engineering practices. These are things you want to review at home anytime that we finish a particular topic or page in the study guide. This first study guide, I've put suggestions here. Future study guides, these will be blank. You will need to write which cross-cutting concept, science engineering practice, disciplinary core idea you think best fits here. There's not one particular answer that we're looking for when we check your study guides for completion. You just need to be able to prepare a statement or 2 as to why you chose this one over a different one.